Hey, did you hear about the guy who had a nap in a swamp? He took a mud kip. Moving on, this is Swampert's challenge in FireRed. Can you believe this is our third FireRed challenge already since returning to the series? It really is flying by and I'm very excited to see how well Swampert fares. Of course, before we get there, we're going to be starting off with a mudkip, and just in case you're wondering, we're not doing the fire type starters quite yet. I don't personally feel I am good enough at the game yet to give them an accurate representation with a final leaderboard time. So we're going to go through the other starters first, and then we'll eventually make our way into the fire starters in the new year. But for now though, this is Swampert's challenge. We've got a start as a mudkip, and we did incredibly well against the first rival battle, and we're going to do just as well against the first wild Pokémon as well. It's 2 shots against a level 2 Rattata to knock it out, and we can make our way to our first gym together. This is Brock, the rock type specialist who leads with Geodude, and this is going to be an absolutely easy battle. It's going to be 2 one-shots to knock out both of his Pokemon, and I know we've got a skewed perspective on Brock at the moment because we've just been running water and grass types, but goodness me, he's easy. The Boulder Badge in 502. We'll start making our way towards Mount Moon, but before we get there we encounter Youngster Ben. You'll know him, he's the one that likes shorts because they're delightfully comfy and easy to wear. Now against Youngster Ben and his pair of Pokemon, we're going to grow up to level 16. And it's at level 16 we're going to say goodbye to Mudkip for the first part of the challenge, and we're going to say hello to Marshtomp instead. And with Marshtomp, we also get a brand new move in Mudshot. So we're going to say goodbye to Bide because it's a terrible move and we'll have Mudshot in its place. And now let's take on Misty. She is our second gym leader together, a water type specialist who leads with Staryu. Now we're really doing this one because we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. We don't have anywhere great to go at this point. We've got Misty who's going to run neutral but can hit very hard with her Starmie, or we've got Rival 2 with his 4 times super effective grass type moves, plus Sand Attack from Pidgeotto to contend with. And quite frankly, out of the pair of them, Misty's easier to beat. We just need a little bit of luck from the confusion with Water Pulse. We're doing quite a lot of damage with Mudshot, even though it is missing from time to time, and it's eventually on our second reset that we get the luck we need courtesy of a critical hit, and we knock out the Starmie to obtain the Cascade Badge in 13 minutes and 12 seconds. Right, we've prolonged the inevitable as long as we can. There's no choice but to take on the second rival battle now, and he's going to lead with Pidgeotto. We get off to a bad start because we get sand attacked by Pidgeotto and it all goes wrong from there. It's 3 shots on the Pidgeotto with Water Gun and we move on to Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur starts off with a Leech Seed and it lands, so that means we're going to be taking passive damage at the end of every turn, and then he tries to send us to sleep. We keep missing with mud shots because of our accuracy drop and it all goes wrong. We get sent to sleep and we take a reset. However, on the next attempt, things seem to go slightly better. The Pidgeotto doesn't use Sand Attack, so we're at full accuracy for the Bulbasaur. Mudshot takes Bulbasaur deep into the red on turn 1 and we knock it out on turn 2. Yes, we've been Leech Seeded, but we're more than capable of knocking out the Abra next. The final Pokemon is Rattata. Even a quick attack from Rattata cannot save the day. We knock it out in 1, and we are through Rival 2 on just our second attempt. You know what? Let's do it again. It's time for Rival 3 already. That's the way the pacing goes in this challenge, and this time we have a couple of better moves on our learn set, because now we have Water Pulse and we have Secret Power. Unfortunately, we still cannot stop that Ivysaur sending us to sleep. We end up taking a reset. This is our second attempt later and it goes slightly better. We 2-shot the Pidgeotto and we're going to Mudshot's critical hit away the Ivysaur, so I reckon we should be fine for the rest of this battle now. Secret Powers are 1-shot against the Raticate, so we'll use the same against the Kadabra, and that means we defeat the rival for a third time in 25 minutes and 44 seconds. Let's move on to Lieutenant Surge. He is our third gym leader together, an electric type specialist who leads with Voltorb. And the words foregone conclusion come to mind here. We don't need Hidden Power Ground this time, we are naturally the ground type, and it's 3 simple 1-shots to defeat Surge, and we get the Thunder Badge in 27 minutes and 27 seconds. And now, after a lot of traversing the region and some plotline later, we find ourselves in front of Giovanni. He is of course the big boss of Team Rocket and we're going to have to take him out. And while we're battling him, in the last couple of videos there have been some comments on the way I pronounce his name. About a year or so ago, we were streaming FireRed together on the channel when a lovely Italian person came in and gave me the phonetic pronunciation of how they would pronounce his name. So I have put all my faith in that one chatter. And now you may have noticed we're not evolving into Swampert quite yet. In fact, we're not going to evolve into Swampert against the 4th rival battle either. And that's because A, we're strong enough as a Marsh Tomp anyway, and B, we get to learn Earthquake at level 46. So we're just going to hold off a little bit longer so we get Earthquake significantly earlier than if we were a Swampert. We'll see that come in handy for Koga's gym, but for now we are taking on the 4th rival battle, and he's only got 2 Pokemon left to go. It's going to be a simple one-shot with Water Pulse against the Growlithe, and the final Pokemon is Kadabra, and even after being double intimidated, Mudshot is still a one-shot, and we get through him on our very first attempt. Time of 43 minutes and 6 seconds for that, and now we find ourselves in Koga's gym. And it's against this juggler here that we grow to level 46. You may have noticed the time was paused as we engaged him in battle. I did resync a little bit later. I was just doing some calculations to see if we'd actually get the experience we needed. And that means we can replace Mudslap with Earthquake, and also we can finally evolve. So it's goodbye to Marsh Tomp, the longest middle stage evolution we've had on the channel in quite some time, and hello to Swampert. Swampert gets the option to learn Protect, which we're going to politely decline, and then we'll take on our 4th gym leader together. This is Koga, the poison type specialist who leads with Coughing. Now, we went a very long time in between gym battles, but we're going to be starting to rattle them off very quickly from now on. And the Koga battle is incredibly simple. We've got Surf for the levitating Coughing line, and then we have Earthquake for everything else. And a very simple Koga battle means we get the Soul Badge in a time of 53 minutes and 41 seconds. Let's take on Blaine, the Fire-type specialist who leads with Growlithe. And this again is going to be a very simple battle. Both of our types have the advantage over Blaine's fire type, and even though we're going to get intimidated twice in this battle, we've got a super strong Surf to take care of all of his Pokemon. It's 4 simple one-shots to defeat Blaine, and that means we get the Volcano Badge in 57 minutes and 32 seconds. We delayed her by quite a bit, but we can now afford Ice Beam to take on Erica. She is of course our 6 gym leaders together, a Grass-type specialist who led with Victory Bell. It's a one-shot on the Victory Bell, it's a one-shot on the Vileplume, it's a one-shot on the Tangler, and that gives us the Rainbow Badge in 1 hour and 12 seconds. Let's now chop this tree down and find ourselves in Silphco. And ladies and gentlemen, this is rival number 5. He's going to lead with Pidgeot. It's a nice and simple one-shot with Ice Beam on the Pidgeot, and we'll continue the Ice Beaming against the Venusaur. We take a lot of damage from a Razor Leaf, but it didn't crit, and that means we get to move on to the Gyarados. It's going to be a 2-shot with Ice Beam against the Gyarados. He's using Dragon Rage to take us all the way down to 29 HP, but Growlithe's not going to be an issue. We've got Surf for that. And then the final Pokemon is Alakazam. Surf's another one-shot against the Alakazam, so he defeats the rival just about in a time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 8 seconds, and our reward is a Lapras. So we'll keep Lapras in the party because it's a really useful HM friend, and look who's back, it's our friend Giovanni again. And this time he leads with Nidorino. We have a really good type matchup for the Giovanni battle. The only Pokemon that's not going to be a one-shot is this Kangaskhan, where we use 2 shots instead, and we take a little bit of damage. Rhyhorn's 4 times weak to Surf, so we knock it out in 1. Nidoqueen comes out, we knock that out with a single Surf as well, and we have defeated Team Rockets once and for all in 1 hour, 4 minutes and 2 seconds. While we're in Saffron City, we might as well take on Sabrina. She is our next gym leader together, a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Kadabra. We'll start off with an Earthquake against the Kadabra and make very light work of it. She sends out Mr. Mime next, and it's another one-shot there. The third Pokemon is Venomoth. We're going to swap to Surf for the Venomoth. It puts up no resistance either, and her final Pokemon is Alakazam. We're going to take advantage of Alakazam's lack of defense by using Earthquake, and we defeat Sabrina and obtain the Marsh Badge in 105.16. And now there must be some kind of mistake, because it's saying Giovanni's our next gym leader. He's the leader of Team Rocket. Surely they wouldn't allow some kind of nefarious person like that to be running a gym. We'll take him on anyway and see what happens. He's a ground-type specialist, so that means we're going to have the type advantage, and in fact he's only got a Rhyhorn left to go. That gets knocked out in a single Surf, and would you believe we actually get a badge from him? How very, very bizarre. We'll leave this gym and never talk of it again, and we can start making our way towards Victory Road. And of course, who's waiting there for us to ruin our day? It's the rival for the final time. We knock out his Pidgeot in 1, and we take that guaranteed damage from Razor Leaf. We're on 58 HP as the Rhyhorn comes out. That's going to be a nice and simple one-shot with Surf, so he sends out his Gyarados. We have been intimidating, that means we're going to rely just on our special attacks. Ice Beam's a 3-shot as Hydro Pump takes us deep into the red, but that does mean that Torrent has activated. It's overkill on the Growlithe with a Rain Dance Torrent's boosted Surf, but then Alakazam comes out, it outspeeds us and knocks us out in one. And we're back to square one. Ice Beam is a simple one-shot against Pidgeot, and here comes Venusaur once more. This time he uses Growth, and that's perfect for us. We two-shot the Venusaur this time, and we're on full health for the Rhyhorn. We knock that out in a single hit, and here comes Gyarados once more. I misclick and use Surf on turn 1, but probably we should have been using it all the way through because of the rain. Doesn't matter anyway, Gyarados was a 3-shot regardless. Growlithe's going to be nice and easy. We one-shot that, and now we've got bags and bags of health for the Alakazam this time. He very peskily disables our Surf. That means we're going to pivot to Earthquake as he starts to Calm Mind. It's going to be 2 shots with Earthquake to knock it out, and we are through the rival for the last time in 1 hour, 12 minutes and 45 seconds. And with that, we're now at the Pokémon League, so we'll heal up whether we need to or not. We'll say thank you to the HM friends. So it's a big thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Meowth and to Lapras. And of course it's merci to Paris as well. You all get yourselves some well-deserved rest. You've done as well here in the Kanto region. And now as we are preparing to go into the league, I just want to remind everybody that the rare candy rule in Generation 3 is we can use them as soon as we start the Pokémon League. So that means from this battle forward, if we need them, we're able to use them. This is Lorelei, our first league member and eyesight specialist who leads with Dugong. It's a 2-shot on the Dugong, and then here comes Cloyster. And Cloyster is the perfect example of a Pokemon I've got to get used to in Generation 3. In Generation 2 we only really saw stalling strategies on Koga, and let's be honest, he's not very good at stalling, but it is a much more consistent theme in Generation 3. Not only in FireRed, but we see it in Emerald as well, and that means I've got to adapt my gameplay and really get used to how they play. We get through the Cloyster on 132 health, and then thanks to the hail, Slowbro is a nice and simple 2-shot. One of the big problems in this battle is going to be Lapras. We critical hits, but we don't quite one-shot it. We get sent all the way down to 7 HP, and then a single Ice Beam knocks us out. We're back to square one. Let's see if we can do any better this time. Dugong is relatively simple, it's just going to be a couple of shots to knock it out. We take a little bit of damage this time thanks to an Ice Beam, and here comes that pesky Cloyster once more. And to make matters worse against this Cloyster, it turns out it's not a consistent 2-shot. That means that Lorelei has a chance to heal up her Cloyster, and all the while we are taking passive damage from that pesky hail. We do eventually get a couple of turns where we're allowed to hit the Cloyster. We knock it out, but we're only on 105 HP for the Slowbro. We get taken down even further thanks to the hail, but we do know it's going to be a 2-shot. We're only on 29 HP as we knock out the Slowbro, and here comes Lapras. That goes down to 17 HP, and Ice Beam knocks us out again. I decide to leave the league at this point and go to the game corner to pick up a Mystic Water. And you know what? Throughout the course of all the challenges we've done across every game together here on the channel, I think this one item purchase might be the most significant we have seen. I don't want to spoil things too much, but now that means Cloyster is a consistent 2-shot. Out comes Slowbro, and we're in a much better way this time, but it turns out that Earthquake is not a guaranteed 2-shot after all. And that, combined with a critical hit Surf knocking us out, means we give up and we use our first 4 rare candies. We have 12 rare candies this time, so we're going to use them in 3 sets of 4 if we need to, and let's see if we do any better at level 60. The first interesting thing is that Earthquake now gets Dugong into healing range. That's huge for us because if we can waste one of her full restores, she's not going to use it on one of the peskier Pokemon. Surf's now a guaranteed 2-shot against the Cloyster thanks to the Mystic Water, but she doesn't get a chance to set up Hail. Earthquake is now a consistent 2-shot on the Slowbro, and she uses Amnesia. That means we're almost at full health for the Lapras. We end up getting confused by the Lapras, which is very annoying, but fortunately we snap out of confusion as she starts to heal up. We're on 75 HP as we take it down in one lucky critical hit, and the final Pokemon is Jinx. Earthquake is a nice and simple one-shot against the Jinx, and we are through Lorelei in 123.19. Let's move on to Bruno. He's our second league member, a fighting type specialist who leads with Onyx. It's a very nice and simple start because we one-shot the Onyx and out comes another one. 2 simple one-shots to get us started off as we grow to level 62. And the third Pokemon is Hitmonchan. Earthquake is more than capable of one-shotting the Hitmonchan and legs the Hitmonlee. And that just leaves Machamp left to go. We take it deep into the yellow on turn 1, his Citrus Berry kicks in, preventing a healing loop. We finish it off on turn 2 and that's Bruno done in 1 hour 24 minutes and 1 second. Our third league member is Agatha. She is the great aunt of Lance because she's also a liar. She says she's a ghost type specialist but she's a poison type specialist who leads with Gengar. The first Gengar was a very nice 2 shots with Surf and then we get the Golbats caught in a little bit of a healing loop. We'll use Ice Beam again on turn number 2 and a critical hit and make sure we knock it out in 1. Her Haunter comes out next and Surf is a critical hit, 1 shot. Her second Gengar's next, we get sent to sleep and get Shadow Balled, but it was a 1-turn sleep. We take it deep into the yellow on turn number 1 and we get sent to sleep, but another 1-turn sleep means we knock it out with another Surf, and then we've just got Arbok to contend with. Even after an Intimidate, Earthquake is a 1-shot and we are through Agatha on our first attempt in 1 hour 25 minutes on the nose. And that means our final league member is Lance. He is the liar with the flyers and he's going to lead with Gyarados. We're going to start off by getting intimidated, so we'll use our special attacks primarily in this battle. Ice Beam's going to be a 3-shot against the Gyarados as we freeze it on turn number 2, and we can swap to Surf for the Aerodactyl. That was a very nice and simple 1-shot against the Aerodactyl, and I misclick and use Surf against the Dragonite. That means we take some damage from Outrage, but it's a simple 1-shot with Ice Beam afterwards. And then Ice Beam is also a 1-hit on both of the level 54 Dragonair. That means we have an incredibly simple Lance battle, and we are through him on our first try in 1 hour 25 minutes and 52 seconds. And that means there is now only one obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame. It's time for our rival Punctuation, who leads with Pidgeot. We're going to use Ice Beam against Pidgeot, but Sand Attack has lowered our accuracy. He gets caught in a healing loop and 2 further Ice Beams knocks it out, and the next Pokemon is Venusaur. We miss our first Ice Beam, but we crit on turn number 2 and we knock it out in 1. The big threat of this battle has already gone. We one-shot the Alakazam because we've not been intimidated yet, and then Rhydon is a very nice and simple Surf. We've got 2 Pokemon left to go, and the first one is Gyarados. Gyarados is going to be spamming Dragon Rage, but as soon as we get into the red, we'll spam Surf with all of our might. We have Torrents behind us and we have a hope. We critical hit the Gyarados, we grow to level 65, the Arcanine comes out, Flamethrower takes us down to 5 but it's not enough, and we defeat Punctuation on our first try in a time of 1 hour 27 minutes and 2 seconds. And that might be the luckiest league we have ever had. The Mystic Water got rid of so many ranges that would otherwise have screwed us over. 1:27.02 is our final finishing time, and it is a new leader for the FireRed leaderboard. We are 5 minutes ahead of Boilrain in second place, 10 minutes exactly ahead of Feraligatr in third place, and it does push poor old Linoone off the podium into fourth place. But with that, we are done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave a like. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. If you want to see more just like this, then click the subscribe button. And until next time, when it's going to be Zapdos through Pokemon Crystal, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.